First question is from Jeffrey in Illinois, listens to WMBI, wants to know, in Daniel 1:7, Daniel's name and the names of his three friends are changed from Hebrew to Chaldean. He did look it up in the Moody Bible commentary, and the meanings were different. And so their Hebrew names meant God is my judge, and God has been gracious, and who is what God is, and the Lord has helped. Two, things that were more Babylonian, like Bel protect him and the command of Aku. So in the remainder of the book, Daniel usually continues to get called Daniel, but Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, which were the Hebrew names, are now called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which we know from lots of songs even. We know those names. Why are they called by the Chaldean names, but Daniel continues to be called Daniel?
Well, clearly, first of all, why were their names changed? I think it was an attempt to force them to assimilate, to abandon the faith of their fathers, the faith that they had of believing in El, Daniel, God is my judge. El is the name of the title of God there. God is my judge. It means God. And then, for example, he is changed to Belteshazzar, which has the name Bel, which is a Babylonian god. And Aku is a Babylonian god. Nebo is a Babylonian god. So what they were doing is trying to force them to assimilate to Babylonian religion.
Which even in the first chapter, when it's like they were trying to force them to eat the way that they ate too. And Daniel did put up a fuss on that one. It was like, actually, can we try it this way instead?
They were resistant to assimilation. And then, of course, in chapter 2, they went by the Jewish friends, three Jewish friends of Daniel. They resisted worshiping the false god.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't do it. And even though their names are being used, those are names that were given to them. It showed that they still wouldn't give in. They wouldn't worship Babylonian gods. They would only worship the God of Israel. And so that's a good thing. Now, why is it that Daniel is called Daniel? And I think Daniel's name is mentioned 75 times, and 65 of them are Daniel, and 10, it's the Babylonian name. Whereas the friends of his, they're only mentioned about 15 times, about 5 times with their Hebrew name, and 10 times with their Babylonian name. So I think that no one knows the reason why Daniel is called by his Hebrew name predominantly, and they are not. But I would say, first of all, that they are not mentioned all that much. They're done in chapter 3. They're done. The book goes on for 9 more chapters, and they're never mentioned again. So maybe if they were mentioned later on, they would be mentioned by their Hebrew names. Secondly, they are mentioned. I think that the main reason is that Daniel was a very famous character by the time his book was accepted. He's mentioned in the book of Ezekiel. And so I think just for the sake of the readers, because he was a famous prophet in Israel, and the book was written really to Israel, they decided to use the name just because he's the main character. The author, probably Daniel himself, said, I'm just going to use my name that everyone knows me by.